I was Wendi, I would be a little nervous after today's testimony. Day one of Donna Adelson's trial wrapped up on Friday, and there were 6 witnesses and a lot of objections that were heard. It's a great day for a great day. My name is Sydney Rushing. I'm a criminal defense attorney in the state of Michigan. Now let's talk about it. The prosecutors started with their opening statement, and basically it was Donna Adelson hates everything Dan Markel, and that she was the mastermind of this entire family, basically running their everyday lives. AKA, she was a control freak. Then the defense's opening statement said, the presentation of this state's case seemed pretty cool, but you didn't hear a single piece of evidence that would show how Donna planned this. Witness number 1, James Geiger, was called to the stand. He was Dan and Wendy's neighbor. He said when the couple first moved in, they seemed like a nice couple. He also said that he knew about the divorce. But he and his wife really weren't close to Dan and Wendi like that. Photos were shown and he described the neighborhood. On the day of the incident, he recalled seeing a light-colored Prius leaving the driveway and leaving the scene at a very fast rate. This was after hearing a loud noise. So he originally thought the house was getting broken into, but when he walked over there, he found Dan in his vehicle with a shattered driver window, and Dan had a very bloody head wound. He said he was still moving at that time, but was unresponsive, so he called 911. He said after the Markels' divorce, he never really saw Wendi or the kids at the house. Witness number 2, Officer David Sims, was called to the stand. He is a retired Tallahassee police officer. He was the first on the scene. He saw Dan gasping for air or making like a sucking sound. He noted that there was broken eyeglasses, that Dan had a cell phone in his left hand and a business card in his right hand. Also noted at that time the vehicle was still running, so he shut the vehicle off. Also said that Dan never regained consciousness in his presence, and the defense had no questions. Witness number 3 was Joanne Maltese. She is a retired forensic specialist with the Tallahassee Police Department. She took pictures of the crime scene, which included Dan's broken glasses, the shattered window, and the bullet damage. She also took pictures of Wendy's minivan, which had a bottle of alcohol in it and a liquor store receipt. She took photos of Dan at the hospital and said that he was still alive at this time, but was critically injured. She also noted that he had stippling on his arm, and stippling basically notes like close range firing. Witness number 4 was Dr. Anthony Clark. He is an assistant medical examiner, and he's testifying as an expert, meaning his testimony can be opinions, not just facts. He did Dan's autopsy on July 19th of 2014 at the Tallahassee Memorial Morgue. He has done over 8,000 autopsies in his career. Said that there were 2 pew-pew wounds to his face and head area, and that there was stippling. He said that the first wound would not have unalived him, however, the second one was not survivable. The bullets and the projectiles were taken out of his head for evidence, and they said that the manner of death was homicide by way of pew-pew wounds to the head. Then there was lunch, and Judge Everett told Donna Adelson to keep her shit together in more or less words. The state wanted to admit emails showing that the Adelson's family had a very high dislike for Dan Markel, and that it went towards the motive. The defense objected, and the judge allowed a few, but he said a foundation would have to be laid for others. Later on, there was a point where there's a bunch of objections based on divorce records that the state was trying to bring in. Judge Everett was clearly irritated that this hadn't been handled prior to the start of trial. He even threatened to send the jury home early so that way they could go through the state's exhibit list line by line if need be. Witness number 5, Craig Isom, was called to the stand. He's a retired investigator for the Tallahassee Police Department. He said that Dan was alive for 13 hours after the incident. He said that they approached Wendi about 3 hours later at a restaurant to tell her about Dan, and that they told her that she wasn't in any trouble. She told them about the custody battle. He also discussed the surveillance footage showing the Prius leaving the gym, and that it also was seen on bus surveillance near the incident location shortly after the incident itself. It was a 2006 to 2009 Prius. It was rented by Luis Riviera, and that was linked back to Sigfredo Garcia. Originally, they couldn't connect all the parties, but they continued on their investigation. He said that Catherine Magnabua was paid by the Adelson Institute, but he couldn't find any employee records or W-2s, and the person at the front desk didn't even know her name. He said that Donna Adelson signed those checks. During the defense's cross, he said that he didn't look at any other employees' records, only Catherine's, and that's because he had cause for hers. Said that he heard from Charlie Adelson's attorney shortly after Katie's arrest, but never heard anything from an attorney that would have been representing Donna Adelson. He was then let off the stand, but he was retained as a witness, meaning he is still going to be sequestered. He was not released like many witnesses are. This is because he could be called later to give more testimony. And witness number 6, Luis Riviera, was called, and he is a co-conspirator. He took a plea deal to second-degree murder for him to testify as a state witness. He has also testified at every trial relating to this incident up to this date. He was hired by Sigfredo Garcia, and this was through Catherine Magnaboa, who is also known as Katie. Those two were dating. He said that Katie was instructed by Wendi because Wendi wanted custody of the kids. Said he understood that Wendi wanted Dan unalive so that way she could gain custody. And he was expected to be paid $35,000 and that he was in $100 bills that were stapled together in increments of $1,000. And he thought that that was kind of weird. He said they took 2 trips from Miami to Tallahassee. The first time they were kind of scoping Dan out, and that included the kids' daycare area. And then the second event is when the incident took place. They surveilled him from the gym after he had dropped the kids off, and they had to do it then because he was about to leave to go out of town. He said that Sigfrido was the pew-pewer and he was just the driver. He said that they disposed of the pew-pew in the ocean. Let's hope that no kids were able to find it and get their hands on that. He said that he had no direct contact with the Adelson family. All of his communication went through Katie. He made it clear that he did not have any contact with Donna or anyone else in the Adelson family. His testimony basically implicated Catherine Magnabua as basically the main person, and that the incident was at the direction and for the benefit of Wendi Adelson, who has yet to be charged. That is it. That is your recap for day 1 of Donna Adelson's trial. Thank you for being here. Thank you for following along. And here's the question of the day. After today's testimony, do you think Wendy's in a little bit of more trouble? Let me know in the comments.